It is officially time for us to discuss the next big Jurassic World film. It's been a long time coming. I feel like we've been, and I say that, but it is actually pretty quick. It was a quick turnaround, but since the time that we learned about this movie and started thinking about it, theorizing what could it be, it feels like it's been forever. It's just been like, I don't know, since February or something, but it's not that long. But it feels like a weight off my shoulders. And to talk about Jurassic World Rebirth, I have my one and only good friend, my only one friend. I've got no other friends. That's definitely the way that should have been said. Tom Jurassic, how are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling quite sorry for all of our other contributors right now, but yeah, I'm good.
And all of my other friends. I definitely have other friends, guys. I swear I do. But we have a lot to talk about today, and we're actually going to be splitting this episode up into two parts. So there will be we'll be talking about like the title. We're going to talk about that logo, and we're going to talk about the information. There was a big like press release. Also, it was released over on YouTube in a description. That's where everybody noticed it first, and then in part two of this conversation, we'll actually break down those images that we looked at and the we'll touch on the characters and stuff like that as well. So since those characters are in the images, but we've got a lot to talk about. And honestly, Tom, I'm still processing it. This all came out like the day before I was about to go away on like a mini little end of the summer vacation. And if anybody's
It's
been following
always
the
when you go on
podcast,
holiday,
dude,
like every time.
every time. It's unreal, dude. Because like I literally was like packing up, and I'm like, of course, here it is. So, and I was just about to go away. And if anybody's been following along, like I haven't released anything for the month of August. Like I don't think I maybe did like one early live stream at the beginning of the month, but I didn't really do anything. I kind of was just like, let me take like a little end of summer vacation. But then I was like, oh God, I got so much to think about, so much to do. And vacation came, and I kind of put it off to the back burner, and I didn't really think about it a ton. So I want to think about it. I want to start doing that here with you today. We've got a lot to think about, a lot to talk about. What were your initial thoughts when you saw this all pop up online?
I mean, I can give you my immediate initial thought, which was, oh, cool, this is this typical Universal, just weeks of, are we going to get something? And then out of nowhere at a really random time on a really random day, it all comes out at once. And I was kind of sat there like, okay, we're doing it. But I have to admit, it was really cool seeing how quickly people actually gathered round that and got really excited by it. Like, I think the post I put out with the synopsis on Instagram got like 500 likes or something, which is mad for my account. And then the
Hmm.
stuff I put out on X, I had two posts that got over 1,000 likes, and like I think one of them 67,000 people had seen, which is just mad. So I really think that when it like first hit, there was such a massive outpouring of people excited for it, which was really cool to see. You know, it was like trending everywhere as well, and it was just it was nice seeing the community getting excited about something rather than just nitpicking very minor things.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of both. I think we talk
Mm,
about it all the time. Is that like the general, I guess, online audience, the very heavily, internet focused people that, share on X, or I can't believe I just called it that. You made me do that. Twitter, wherever else, Threads. It's very much like, let's just pile on. It's a dog pile of like people that like dislike the franchise.
yeah.
But I will say that like the people who didn't know that Gareth Edwards is going to be in directing this movie, not in it. Well, he might be in it. There's probably a good chance he'll be in it. I feel like he's always in the movies. Realizing that he's going to be in this. Plus, you got like I've seen a lot of like resounding faith for like Mahershala Ali and Scarlett Johansson
hmm
and Jonathan Bailey. So it's pretty exciting to have like maybe some faith restored. I guess in people like they're really
Yeah.
trying to get back on it, and they're like, I could have done without another one, but we got
Mm.
this group of people involved, so I'm kind of excited. So it's been interesting to kind of see the reaction, and
I
I'm
do.
hopeful that it'll be a good one.
Mm. I think you touch on an interesting note, though, which is, oh, I could have done without another one, but because I was talking to, I think it was Swerve I was talking to about this, and we were talking about the general public reception, and it seemed like a lot of people who weren't in the know were kind of like, what the hell, they're doing another one, because the marketing line for Dominion was the end of the saga. So it kind of, in
Yeah.
retrospect, I imagine for general cinema going audiences is a very weird experience to have like marketing literally a couple of years ago that said this is the end of this thing, and to then suddenly have another film announced.
Yeah, yeah, dude. The marketing, it's so frustrating. I mean, we've talked over and over again about how like maybe Colin didn't even realize it was going to be the end. You know, it's like that's not what the
Yeah,
plan was, but they just marketed it that way. Um, and then we've like I said at the intro, like we've been talking a lot about like, hey, Jurassic June's here. We know there's a movie in the works. Are you
yeah,
going to start talking about it? No, nothing. Jurassic July. I'm out there with my newsletter, like just constantly crossing off the date, being like, hey, folks, we're still unaware. I actually started writing up my next newsletter. Since I was on a break, it didn't really come out at the beginning of the month, but it was still prefaced with saying like, "There's no news, so this is what I'm going to be talking about." So now I have to rework the entire thing. But yeah, I can't believe June came, July came,
yeah.
and most of August, basically all the way through August without any kind of like literally no acknowledgement, outside of Frank Marshall just being like, "Hey man, this is a great set. I love this place." So that
I
was
love
about
how
it.
Frank just does whatever he wants. Like,
Yeah.
literally, they hadn't announced it officially or anything, and he's just like, yeah, on the set of the new Jurassic World film.
But but like even in our group chat, it like adds a bit of confusion when he's like hashtag Margaritaville,
Yeah.
hashtag Jimmy Buffett, and you're like, what is
And
this
he's
Jurassic or
tagging the
no?
Twisters movie account.
At Twister's movie, like like so
It's
he's
very
Frank's
much
just
like
excited.
I feel like it's a person new to social media kind of thing where it's like, oh, these are all the accounts I'm involved with. I'll tag all of them in every post.
Yeah, 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 kinda like a press release would be, right? Where you kind of, like, list at
Yeah.
the end, "This person has worked on all of these awesome things," involved with, good friends with Jimmy Buffett, involved in the Twisters movie, which this one does say some of that. But yeah, it's been an interesting few months at least, so and like we were talking about it off camera, off recording, off audio, whatever.
Yeah.
That like yes, we've known about the title for like I think it was a little over
Yeah.
a month now. So it wasn't a surprise, but there was always still that like little sliver of like doubt, right? Where we saw all the trademarks and everything, but we were like, "I- is it going to be real? Is this really what it's going to be?" Um,
Yeah.
I think because a lot of us expected maybe like some sort of like different direction, a tangent or something in the title or the logo or something like that. We maybe expected Jurassic Park to return or something, but we do get our official confirmation outside of the trademarks that it's a new Jurassic World event film,
Jurassic
Jurassic World
World
Rebirth.
supremacy, baby.
Yeah, that's the next one with Jason Bourne. I'm
There's,
very excited for that one.
I just wanna put it out there. There's now more Jurassic World films than there are Jurassic Park films.
Yeah. There are, and well, yeah. I mean, I'm excited by it though. I never really truly expected them to go away from Jurassic World.
No.
I had my hopes and dreams that and I'm not like hell bent on like it needs to be a Jurassic Park movie. There's a lot of people that maybe really just absolutely need Jurassic Park to return. I'm not necessarily one of them, but I think there's definitely room to explore that direction, and I
Mm.
don't think it needs to be so hard and firm. Like we can never mention Jurassic Park. So yeah, but I'm
Yeah,
glad
because
that
that
you know.
first park was pretty legit.
It was, yeah. But I'm glad that we got the confirmation now. We can hear the title. We got it way more than I expected on this little info
Yeah.
dump, right? Like we got, like I said
It's
before, the
almost like
title.
somebody had accidentally scheduled like 3 weeks worth of posts for all at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah, and it was official, like, hey, we're putting this out there in front of your eyes. It was like the title and the logo reveal. And then it was also like the two images. But then like they were also like, we're gonna hide the rest of this information. We're not gonna put it out in
Yeah.
front of you perfectly. You have to go find it on YouTube in a description. And so that was kind of weird. Like we were talking about like I didn't get any official press release. I know there was one and I had to track it down. I don't know where it came from. Because I couldn't, I didn't really do a
It
heavy like
actually came from
look,
Frank
but
Marshall.
did he post it
No,
for real? Oh no, your jokes. Okay, cool. We got those now. I wouldn't be surprised. He's like, like you said, it's somebody forgot to do something, or it's just like weeks worth of stuff. And Frank has been known to just kind of let a few things like by on his Instagram or wherever, here and there, Twitter.
yeah.
But yeah, so we did get. Let's jump into some of the stuff here real quick because
Yeah.
let's see. We'll talk about this first. So let's go into the title. They posted this on Instagram, and you get to see like a nice sunrise kind of sparkling out, and then all of a sudden the logo kind of appears. It's born through that sunrise. Very, very obvious, like ideas going on here. Like this is a rebirth. So they're saying they're
Mhm.
letting everybody know that maybe fell off the wagon, that hey, this is new. This is a rebirth. It's not, it is still Jurassic World, but it's a rebirth. And hey, there's a new dawn up ahead. We've got a sunrise coming out of this logo. It looks pretty cool. I will say that like it is a bit shinier of a logo than I don't know what I expected, but like it is just a
Mm.
very shiny, like um almost temporary looking logo in my eyes. Like I feel like by the time the movie comes around, we'll probably get something more like a little bit more rugged or something like that. I don't know, especially based off of some of the imagery we've seen with this movie. I feel like the logo's bound to change, I think. What do you think about the logo?
I don't know if it necessarily will change. I think it's deliberately quite new and contemporary, and I think that's kind of representative of their whole approach with this, which I will get into once we talk about the synopsis. But I do think that it's very much a new start for the franchise, in the sense that before this was announced, there were a lot of rumors about whether we were going to get a reboot entirely, whether we were going to undo what Jurassic World had done, and whether we were going to go back to Jurassic Park. And I think what you're seeing with this is a intention to go in a fresh direction, and not necessarily play too much in what's come before. And I'll talk about that more when we come on to the synopsis. But I think that this is very representative of that because it's new, it's fresh, it's shiny, it's deliberately meant to feel like it sets itself apart from what's come before.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why I'm mostly surprised that they didn't go with a new title of any sort, just to really fully
Mhm.
rebrand it, because Jurassic World is still in there, and that will certainly make some people
Yeah,
shy away from it. But I'm sure the whatever marketing approach they take, and we've seen it already. We've seen it through the trades early on, of how like whatever insiders were telling the information to these trades were like, hey, we just want you to know that this is a new thing. It's
yeah.
let's just throw the word reboot out there, or whatever. Um, so they definitely want
I
people to know
think,
this is new.
yeah, I think to your point though, about, oh my god, I had a point there, but it's just gone out of my brain completely. Rewind what you said for a second, and it will
So,
prompt me.
hey man, you're expecting me to remember what I said? You know, I've been doing this for just about 10 years now, and I've realized
Yeah.
you
Oh
need to
no no
forget
no! I've
everything.
remembered. I've remembered. So you were talking about it's alright. One of us still remembers.
Yeah, good.
You were talking about obviously changing the name Jurassic World, but I think just with the way that Hollywood works, and especially with brand iconography, you've already changed it once from Jurassic Park to Jurassic World. I think if you changed it again, it just gets too convoluted because even if you're doing something new, you still want that association of the brand identity, right? So it's why Solo wasn't just called Solo, it was Solo a Star Wars story. Same with Rogue One, because they still want that kind of association. So I don't think I would be stunned if it ever goes from Jurassic World now, because I think whatever they do next, they'll still want it to feed back into that. So there's that sense of legacy and that sense of almost nostalgia in a way, because that's what so much brand iconography feeds into.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Very well said. You know, I've been really hoping for like a subtitle of sorts, and I think most of that hope was because I want to see the brand transformed into just more than, hey, we've got a new
Mm,
movie coming out. I want to see that, you know, that subtitle, a Star Wars story, used in so many other places. You know, I want to see it used on live action TV show
yeah,
or something else. You know, all over the place. And with Jurassic World, it is, you know, it's constantly just been Jurassic World
yeah,
colon, you know, whatever the thing is, whether it's oh dude,
yeah.
I was recording, I think I started my my like little I did like a little episode about the announcement, and I put it out on the feed, and my for the first thing I said, I was so annoyed. I was like, we've hey folks, we've got a brand new movie. It's called Jurassic World Revealed. And I was like, that's not it. There's too many of these things. So Jurassic World Revealed was a fun thing, I think, on, you know, your Amazon
Yeah.
devices. I think that's what it was from. But yeah, there's too many little subtitles
Yeah.
under the Jurassic World brand already. So,
Well, Brad,
um,
I've got the answer for you. What it should have been was Rebirth, a tale from a Jurassic World.
oh, that's okay. That's definitely a nice tie-in, I think, for someone. Um, but no, I kind of the way that they started like changing the imagery and everything for Jurassic World Dominion, I kind of expected them to just go with like the just you know what this brand is. Like this is the
Yeah.
T-Rex. We don't need to tell you. Um, this logo does feel like it takes some lighting and some of that vibe from
Mm,
Dominion. I feel like it is kind of like the next iteration after Dominion, so it doesn't feel like it's like a completely different vibe. Especially like the sunrise to the top of the T-Rex. There's something very familiar about that look. I don't know if it was something that they used during the Dominion, um, you know, marketing period or anything, but it has a familiar look to it. So that's good. I mean, it you know, we finally get our confirmation that like all this stuff is a continuation. You know, we are continuing with that Jurassic World Dominion
yeah.
storyline in a way. So any further thoughts or ideas on the logo itself or the title?
I just no, nothing beyond what I've said really. I think
Yeah.
Rebirth is very much what they intend for this film to be.
Yeah, we've seen this like I said for the past month or so, so it's not new news to us at this point. But
Mm.
a lot of new news did come out. And like I said, in part two, we're going to talk about
Almost too
the other
much in one
images.
go.
Almost too much. In part two, we're going to discuss the images and stuff. And then also we'll dive into the characters that we're going to reveal now. You've never heard about these characters before. You didn't know about them. But we did get a press release here. Now, this, I found this on the Jurassicpedia Presents Behind the Gates Facebook page. But I don't know where it originally initiated from, but I did not get this in my inbox. It came from a YouTube video and just read it all from there. But we do know that I'll go ahead and dive into this. It's very long winded. Maybe we'll break it up into bits and pieces. But they say a new era is born. Next summer, 3 years after the Jurassic World trilogy concluded, with each film surpassing 1 billion at the global box office, the enduring Jurassic series evolves in an ingenious new direction with Jurassic World Rebirth. Anchored
I'm
by
loving all
iconic
the
action.
sales words.
Yeah, dude,
Daring and ingenious.
it was such a tough read when I had to do this on the podcast, and I'll, you know, I told you this because I was like, all right, I got to record something. So I was in my car at one point
Yeah.
trying to record like a little TikTok video for
Oh,
this.
mate. Yeah.
And so recently I denied access to my microphone on a bunch of different things because I was like, I don't need you just listening to me whenever, my day's going about. So I
Yeah.
guess I turned it off on TikTok, not realizing that like it would officially turn it off when I do like a video or something. So I recorded a whole
Yeah.
bunch of stuff, and I messed up so many times trying to read through this thing. But the long story short is like the audio didn't record, but so I just had to trash it
Yeah.
anyway. But I messed up so many times because there's so many like just they just go
It's
wild with the words.
buzzwords.
It's
Yeah.
buzzwords, unreal. It's an unreal amount of them. Anyway, so anchored by iconic action superstar Scarlett Johansson, breakthrough talent Jonathan Bailey, and two-time Oscar winner Mahershala Ali, this action-packed new chapter sees an intrepid team racing to secure DNA samples from the three most colossal creatures across land, sea, and air. Also starring acclaimed international stars Rupert Friend and Manuel Garcia Rolfo. The film is directed by dynamic visualist Gareth Edwards. Rogue One.
I
He's
want
from a
you
Rogue
to
One,
start
Star Wars
calling me
Stories.
that.
A dynamic. Instead I called you my only friend. So maybe I will go with dynamic visualist. From a script by original Jurassic Park screenwriter David Koepp. All right, let's start there real quick. So we get the confirmation of Scarlett, Jonathan, Mahershala, but we get this synopsis here. It's so funny how they break it up into so many different parts of the
Yeah.
synopsis. But an intrepid team racing to secure DNA samples from the three most
Yeah.
colossal creatures across land, sea, and air. Very
You can tell
interesting
where my
story.
brain is, Brad. You can tell where my brain is because I see land and sea, and I'm like, the war between the land and sea. Is this going to be a Doctor Who crossover? But no,
This is where
it's
Jurassic takes a more supernatural approach. Yes.
yeah, it's So I'll be honest. I've had some time to think about this, and I think that just as a concept, feels kind of goofy to me. It feels a bit weird to be like, oh, we need DNA samples, and they just happen to be from the biggest creatures, and they just happen to be one in the air, one in the land, and one in the sea. Like they could. I'm sure there's ways that they might explain that make it feel a lot more digestible and make it make sense. But immediately when I'm looking at that, I'm kind of thinking, okay, you're not doing this for the sense of story, you're just doing it for spectacle. So you can have a sequence in each of those environments.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, I've been saying I kind of wish the next movie would focus solely on like one species, and I know it's like a crazy notion, but like I just wanted them to kind of control the amount of stuff that they needed to do. And I think by doing that, you would just have like one species, and that would be the villain, the entire thing. But we're going to see more than just these three. But it is interesting. It does feel familiar, like a very familiar kind of synopsis.
Yeah.
Hey, they're going to go race to secure DNA samples. I mean, we did see that in Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. They did like specifically do that. Well, I don't even know what you would call that team at this point, because who knows how all those villains tie together. But so there has been that. I mean, the Jurassic Park was about, racing to secure DNA samples. Like, that's what that movie was about. Much more other things too, but anything else? Let's see. Jurassic Park 3 didn't really secure any, but they were racing to secure some eggs, I guess.
Yeah.
But it feels like a very familiar plot. And I'm wondering, like, at this point in this universe, that they've set up. Um, why would we be racing to secure any DNA? Shouldn't we have that
Yeah.
information? Shouldn't we have that already? Like, I mean, if you
It's sort.
consider this the
Mm,
universe, real quick, hold on. If you consider the universe, like Doctor Wu has now like swapped sides. He's like a good guy, and he's out there
yeah.
trying to help the world. If he is, I don't, I'm sure he's still not an accredited doctor or anything like that. And we know he's not. I don't think he's going to be in this movie in any way. But just the legacy of that character, like, should be a good legacy at this point, trying to do better things, trying to help people. And I think he would be like, hey, you could find all this DNA information just like on my
Yeah.
backup drive at Lockwood. I left it upstairs or downstairs in Lockwood Estate, so you can find it there. So it feels a little convoluted already. Like, why would they be
Yeah.
doing this? But I think it sounds fun. Like, I like the idea about like we have
Yeah.
one shot to get this stuff. So that's kind of fun. But
But so in what you were saying there, though, it opens something up that potentially could already frustrate me, which would be, are we just going to open this film with other people having made loads of dinosaurs and them now being out in the wild, and us just not learning anything more about them? Because that was kind of hinted at in Dominion, right? With Pyroraptor, with Giga, with a lot of the other animals. But if you're now saying, like, we come into this and the reason why they don't have those genetics is because maybe they weren't made by InGen, maybe they were made by another company, so it's not Dr. Wu, so they've never shared the genetics of them, then are we just going to gloss over all of that? And is it just going to be, oh, these are now dinosaurs in the world that were never a part of that original list, but it doesn't matter? I kind of feel like that almost touches on a broader issue that Jurassic has been slowly doing worse and worse with, in my opinion, which is the consistency of the animals. Because the whole initial trilogy, right, was this idea that there was a list and certain animals were on that list, and there were animals which were hidden from that list when they were made on Sorna. But the vast majority of creatures fell within those animals that InGen had created. You then kind of had Camp Cretaceous go against that a bit with the Monolophosaurus, with the Aranosaurus, and some of the other creatures. And now it feels like this has the potential to do that again. And I'm like, I'm not opposed to having other dinosaurs. I really like actually having more variety in the dinosaurs in the films. But the charm of those initial films was they always explain where they came from. And now it kind of feels like we're at that point where it's just, oh, there's dinosaurs everywhere and it doesn't matter who made them or what they are.
yeah, I mean, we've been kind of trying to argue against a lot of that for so long now, just saying like,
Mm.
well, it just making it very convoluted as far as like where do all these creatures come from? It seems like with every new film, there's a new species that we didn't know about before, and that's
Yes.
perfectly. I think that's perfectly capable of like, hey, we didn't know that, like we didn't know that these existed, but at some point it becomes like pretty absurd when there's just so many
Yeah.
species that you never heard of. Um,
It's like,
and with
oh, there
this,
were 10 species on the list and 40 on the not list.
yeah, yeah, seriously, yeah, there's more that are not on the list. I think with this potentially being, a partial like reboot, they're trying to kickstart some new stuff. There's the potential to see a lot of new species or new looking versions of species and stuff. So it's going to create a
Mm.
lot more questions where we're like, oh man. And that's only questions for us. Like most people are probably, these movies make $1 billion, which they say in the synopsis. Um, like most people don't care probably. It's just for us crazies that like really, need to break down where each individual creature was bred and where it was held captive and where it
Yeah.
was born, all this stuff. So we just need to know where everything is from. So it is tough, but yeah, I sympathize with that point of view for sure. Let's go to the next part here. It says 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, the planet's ecology has proven largely inhospitable to dinosaurs. Those remaining exist in isolated equatorial environments, with climates resembling the one in which they once thrived. The three most colossal creatures within the tropical biosphere hold the key to a drug that will bring miraculous life-saving benefits to humankind. A lot to go off of there.
Yeah.
So what I'm sensing is a little backstepping on what happened in the past two films. In Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, dinosaurs brought to the mainland, and then they escape. And there's like a handful, and then by the next film, it's worldwide basically, and they're all over the place.
Yeah.
But we never really got to see that concept fully flourish. We're starting to with what is it called? Chaos theory.
Chaos
So
theory.
we're starting, we're starting to see it there, but we never really got to see that. And this seems like, hey, mistakes were made.
Yeah. Mm.
Let's rethink this. So dinosaurs aren't actually thriving across the world,
Mm.
and now they're really only in the equatorial environments. So
I'm gonna blow your mind, Brad. I'm gonna blow your mind.
blow my mind. Go
Life
ahead, please.
doesn't find a way.
Oh, maybe that he should start the movie. He should be like a cameo.
Well,
Life
I mean,
doesn't
he
find a way.
he was seen with ScarJo in London recently, so who knows, right?
Who knows? Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, first off, I do like the. I know we already started talking about this, so this is, I guess, second off. But 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, so that we get a nice confirmation right there that this is not like a prequel. It's not set in between any specific movie or anything. It is 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion. Even though it's not 5 years after Jurassic World Dominion, so that's also an interesting point as well, right? It's maybe the first time we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I get the feeling that this film is doing exactly what Fallen Kingdoms to Dominion did, which is setting up an interesting plot thread and then completely skipping over it. And I'm slightly frustrated that we're getting that again because it's exactly what happened with Fallen Kingdom, which is, hey, dinosaurs are in the wild. Then jump forward to Dominion. Oh, dinosaurs are everywhere, but it doesn't matter. Let's go and tell this other story. And now we're getting that again, which is, oh, we end with dinosaurs trying to adjust to our world. And then we're starting with, oh, they couldn't adjust, and now there's only a handful of them. Like, it feels like, again, there's interesting potential for storytelling that would be incredibly in line with the novels to explore actually what does that collapse of the ecosystem look like? What are the stages that are happening there? Does anyone try to stop that? And invariably, do they end up trying to play God? There's a lot of really interesting sort of scientific beats that they could explore, but instead of taking the time to really do that and potentially do something that could have quite meaningful parallels to the ecology of our world, the climate change conversation and those sorts of things, it kind of feels like they've gone straight to oh no, we want to have very few creatures in isolated environments again without thinking about any of the wider storytelling. And I have to admit, and I know I sound very negative on this podcast, I am actually very excited for this film, but I do find it really disappointing that Jurassic just constantly shoehorns itself. Like, it feels like the storytelling constantly retreads things rather than doing anything new, and that's what it feels like we're doing here to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it feels like I know it feels like familiar. Some of these plot points feel familiar, and yes, certainly just, hey, we're gonna go back to an island. We're doing all that stuff again, and this is where dinosaurs are thriving. So it's not like we're not going into we're not having like a secret mission into Biosyn Valley or anything like that. We're going straight to the source again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is rehashing some stuff for sure, but yeah, to me, it's like it just mostly feels like, hey, we messed up a little bit, and I can understand where they're coming from with that, but the fact is, like, the we messed up should more be we didn't fully provide you with everything you needed in this.
Yeah.
So let's cover that. That's what Chaos Theory feels like. It feels like,
Yeah.
hey, we didn't do enough, so let's fill in those gaps. Let's do that. This is like, oh, we we messed up the story. Like we messed up by bringing
Yeah.
dinosaurs to the world. So it's interesting, but
It feels like an unneeded course correction.
well, and but I kind of get it at the same time. Like I understand. Like, hey, maybe this world's not cut out for these dinosaurs. To me, it
Mm.
feels like War of the Worlds. Like these aliens
Yeah.
will come down or come up, whichever direction, from the ground, and like they cause havoc for a little while, and then all of a sudden, like weeks later or however long, it's like, oh, now they're dying out. Okay, so,
Yeah.
but in this case, there's just a bunch of aliens in Central America just like chilling. That was where they thrived. So that's kind of what it feels like to me. So it does make sense to some extent. Like from a story perspective, I could certainly see this happening where like, it just didn't work out for the dinosaurs in
Yeah.
certain areas. But um, it's interesting that they're like in the climates which they like once thrived, but they're equatorial environments. So like, are they going to be different environments? Are they just the same environments but like land, sea, and air? Like, is that the difference in environments? Because to me, it's like when I think about the different environments in which they thrived, I'm thinking like Camp Cretaceous season four and
Yeah.
five. Like I'm thinking about like those snow dinos, the
It's
desert
just a
dinosaurs, the
thousand
jungle.
dinosaurs packed into Nebraska.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know. So it's interesting, and we are continuing with some thoughts that were laid down, I think, by bringing life-saving benefits to humankind. It'll be
Mm.
interesting to see how that plays out, and if they can balance the storyline to satisfy people, because in Dominion
Yeah.
they didn't really balance it for everybody. I was perfectly fine with it, but like the balance of like, hey, there's bugs in this movie versus dinosaurs. People were like, oh, why is there bugs? And I think in this movie, if they're not careful, it's like, oh, why are we just like we're just like talking about like saving people's lives and we're not talking about
Yeah.
dinosaurs anymore. Like I could definitely see people being upset about that. But with this storyline, I don't necessarily see this as a traditional storyline where like Dodgson was set up as the guy who's like,
Mm.
we need to steal this DNA to make more dinosaurs. And I guess I could see that being a thing, but I'm all over the place. I'm just thinking through this on the fly.
I think it's very Crichton-esque, because if you look at so take Andromeda Strain for example, the whole sort of like driving force of that story is them beginning to understand more and more about this virus as it progresses, and then beginning to understand more and more about the qualities of it, what they can do to stop it, all of those kinds of things. So I think applying that kind of scientific storytelling, there's very much something similar here, which is this idea that actually, the scientists were so preoccupied on whether they should that they never stopped, or whether they could that they never stopped to consider whether they should. But now they've done it, they've realized that the thing that they never actually considered at all is just an added benefit to that genetic experiment. So it makes a lot of sense from a scientific storytelling perspective. And I think if they get it right, if they treat it with the maturity it deserves, then it has the potential to be a plot thread that feels very novel esque, and feels like it pays tribute to a lot of the kind of scientific thriller nature of both of Crichton's novels. I think my
Mhm.
biggest fear is a story plot thread like that in a Hollywood film. It's very easy for it to become gimmicky, very easy for it to become over exaggerated, and very easy for it to lose the nuance that makes it an interesting story point in the first place. So I think they have to be really careful with how they tell that. And I'm not sure that the latter installments of Jurassic have necessarily done the scientific elements as well as the earlier films. So that's where I'm quite cautious, because I think already, hybridization, we got some good explanation, but you could argue that more was needed there to really bring people on board with that concept. And now I think this is another step forward. So I think they need to make sure that actually it's grounded within the story. This next step is explained and we understand how we've got here, or it, like I say, has the potential to just be a gimmick that's an excuse to give us large dinosaurs. So that's sort of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I'll be interested, like I was saying before, like to see like where this story takes us, like
Mm.
because like I was saying, Dodgson, he wants the dinosaurs, like he wants the DNA to make dinosaurs. In the
Mm.
Lost World, they want
He
to take
wanted
the
R.I.P.
dinosaurs.
Lewis.
Well, if speaking, I just went back to '93 just to say those words. So in that timeline, he wants those dinosaurs to make some new ones. Um, and Lost World, it's like they want those dinosaurs to make a new park. And
Yeah.
Jurassic Park 3, I don't know, it's a mishmash of stuff, but like there's always something like in Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. They want these dinosaurs to be somewhere else, to take them, sell them off, or to put them in a reserve and to benefit off of them. Like this is exactly what Dodgson was doing in Dominion. You know,
Mm.
this is like there was a lot more to it, but I think like he probably wanted. There was some mention of um, life-saving benefits like that, like cancer research or something. Um, I forget what the exact line was in Dominion, but they did say something along those lines. So I'll be interested to see
Yes. Yeah, they did.
if this one revolves around this character, the big pharma character, taking these dinosaurs' DNA for just, hey, we're going to replicate the DNA, or are we going to replicate the dinosaurs and breed the dinosaurs so then we have like
Mm.
a bunch of dinosaurs. Like it'll be interesting. Like because this to me almost sounds like it's like a dead end story for the dinosaurs. Like it doesn't sound like there's not like
Yeah.
a continued plot that we'll see in the sequel be explored. For that. But this also could take which we've talked about a lot. It could take the approach of like, okay, we got the life saving benefits. We've passed them out to mankind now. Things have gone wrong, and this is
Yeah.
Planet of the
Oh
Apes
no,
now,
people
or The
mutating
Last of
into
Us.
dino-human hybrids. The cure didn't work.
Yeah,
They
stuff
can
like that. DX
literally
virus.
what? Oh, we've got this
Didn't see
miracle
it.
drug. Wait. Oh no.
Wait, you're worried about spoiling for me, but like literally, there's thousands of other people listening too.
No, there is nothing in to do with drugs whatsoever. No, nothing along those lines happened. Just pretend I never mentioned it and move on.
All right, all right. But I think there's a lot of possibility for stuff like that to continue. Like the DX virus could come into play at some point, and it could
Yeah.
turn into like, hey, we've killed off half of humankind with some like,
Yeah, but I mean, if the
COVID
DX virus
style.
comes in, it sounds like there's not exactly going to be many dinosaurs for it to kill off anyway.
Well, yeah, for sure. But what if they flip flop it into like this is a humankind like virus from the dinosaurs kind of
Yeah.
thing? So our
So the
world has
dinosaurs
not
cause
benefited the
COVID.
dinosaurs. Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. We got more here, so let's continue reading. Academy Award nominee Joe Hansen plays skilled covert operations expert Zora Bennett, contracted to lead a skilled team on a top secret mission to secure genetic material from the three. This is a very long sentence. From the world's three most massive dinosaurs. When Zora's operation
Can we just
intersects with a civilian
appreciate this
family.
is it's the third time in this press release they've emphasized the size of the animals.
Yeah. They really want us to know these are massive, dude. They're not
Yeah.
just regular dinosaurs; they're even bigger. So yeah, her operation intersects with a civilian family whose boating expedition was capsized by marauding aquatic dinos. They all find themselves stranded on an island where they come face to face with a sinister, shocking discovery that's been hidden from the world for decades. All right, so
Paul Kirby can't get a break.
we know that this is a top secret mission again. We do know, yeah, that there's another family, and we've realized this for a while, but and there may or may not have been some boating images floating around for a little
Mm.
while. So there's some marauding aquatic dinosaurs out there, though, and they find themselves stranded on an island. We don't know which island. I'm gonna assume it's some island that's related to the parks because there's an InGen logo floating out there. But what's your take on a sinister, shocking discovery that's been hidden from the world for decades?
I think that Jurassic Park wasn't InGen's first attempt at genetic creation. So I don't think Henry Wu got the dinosaurs right first time around.
Okay, yeah, I did say somewhere. Did I say it? I don't know where I said it. Did I say it in a recording or on here? I don't think I said it on here. But yeah, I was like, do you think this is like, is this Site C and these are all the rejects? Is there something along those lines? Was there, a third island that Dr. Wu was like, I don't feel comfortable killing these things off, but let's go ahead. Go, you can live here. So
It's
that'll be interesting.
Scorpius Rex Island.
Yeah, basically, like I would, I think that would be fun. The Scorpius, and that leads me to that because the I didn't bring it up here or anything, but one of the synopsis for like season 3, I think it was, of Camp Cretaceous did say like the island's holding like a sinister secret, and I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
what's that gonna be? We talked about that for a while, and yeah, we knew it was East 730 or what was it? What was the name of that?
E750. Yeah.
Whatever. So yeah, we knew the Scorpius was involved, and that was the sinister, thing that was hidden on Nublar. So it just sparks that kind of like conversation with me about like
It's actually going to be a
creepy
clone
dinosaurs.
of John Hammond.
Hey man,
He's
you
just
never
been
know.
living off the grid for all these years.
Well, I mean, to me, like, I don't know. Like one of the ways my mind goes is we've had this. I think me and you have specifically had this conversation before about. Okay, we just brought in Gareth Edwards. Gareth Edwards worked on Godzilla, and Godzilla has, of course, taken a very different approach from when he was involved. But it's gotten to the point where it was just a big monster movie. Now it's involving ancient temples and ancient people and underworld excursions and crazy stuff like that. It just makes me think about that and connect those dots. And I was wondering, like, is there a sinister, shocking discovery? And it's only been hidden for decades.
It's a monarch outpost.
Yeah, it's been hidden for decades. So it's I'm just thinking since Jurassic Park. I'm not thinking anything.
It's got to be InGen. I
Yeah.
mean, we'll talk in our next recording about why it's definitely InGen. But I just think that it makes so much sense in my mind to be like, actually, we didn't get genetic experimentation right the first time, because actually, what is the chance of getting it right the first time? It seems so slim. Like, it seems like you would have something go wrong with it, and maybe for whatever reason they weren't able to contain what went wrong, so they just abandoned the site.
So we know that they love hybrids. They obviously love hybrids, right? Like that is it's their cash cow with Jurassic World. They absolutely love the Indominus Rex, and we've seen them center absolutely everything they made around the Indominus Rex breakout, and they love that. They continued with the hybrids through the second movie, through season 3 of Camp Cretaceous.
It seems like there might be one coming in Chaos Theory.
Oh gosh, and is there a way that? I mean, this seems like a way that potentially we could do hybrids again, guys, without calling them hybrids. They're not meant to be hybrids. They were mess ups, and version 1.0. There's a lot they could say to distance themselves from hybrids, but still be hybrids. That's it could still be.
I think there's
Um,
cool potential to do unique visuals for the dinosaurs. Like, can you imagine if we got a feathered T Rex, for example, and they were like, "Oh, this was before we realized it wasn't quite accurate."
mhm. Yeah. Um, in Jurassic Park, they had to slow down the dinosaurs and stuff, right? Because they were like moving too
Yeah,
fast or something. So like, there could be some weird stuff
that
that
would
we could
actually be
see.
such a cool explanation. Like, we slowed them down because they were moving too fast and they killed the people at this facility, so we had to abandon it. There was no way to recontain them.
It's like the fast zombies of the Jurassic
Yeah,
universe.
World War Z.
Yeah.
World War Z.
But like with the whole Godzilla stuff that I was talking about, a second like theory could be like, hey, there's an underworld, place with real dinosaurs. We've got the
Oh
real
god.
dinosaur place, which yes, we like shake our heads at, and we like, yeah, it's so stupid. But like, it is a very dinosaur centric plot, right? Like if you're a world with real dinosaurs. If there's a dinosaur story
Just
out there,
start a
there's
new
certainly
film
a world with
franchise.
real ones. What's that?
Start a new film franchise.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
need to do
exactly.
that in Jurassic.
I'm just putting all the options out there on the table of things we could potentially see.
Well,
To
don't,
me,
Brad. Don't.
don't give. Hey, man, we've already realized they don't listen to me, so they're not gonna care. But yeah, I think it's a potential. There's a potential for some like lost world, vibes of like, hey,
Mm,
we found a lost world of real dinosaurs. Um, but I hope they don't go that route because
mm.
and I could see them saying like, we need the DNA from these real dinosaurs because those are the ones that have the DNA that we need, something like that.
And
Um,
then we get an expedition into the Axis Mundi, but we're not sure whether it's the Axis Mundi or the Hollow Earth at first.
and I will always just continue to call it the Hollow Earth and not sure where is the Hollow Earth. Is it
Very
even
deep
on
cut
Earth?
reference there for anyone who saw our Monarch coverage.
I can't wait, dude. And they're filming season 2, right? I think they're currently filming it,
Yeah.
so we'll have a lot to talk about there. Let's see. Is there any more? Well, the rest is character stuff. So
Yeah.
I think we've got. Let's see. Let's kind of plot it out real quick. We've got. Um, I don't know. We've got some characters out there that believe, hey, we can save the world.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm feeling like this is like a Mills, like a Franklin. What was his name? No, his name wasn't Franklin. That was the Franklin. Was Franklin? Eli Mills.
Eli knows. Yeah.
Eli
Franklin.
Mills. Yeah. Eli Mills is out there like the good guy that, hey, I need to recruit a team to go and do this thing to get the stuff, and it turns out to not be that kind of mission, but I could see that kind of being the plot here. It's like, hey, we're gonna recruit you, military-esque operation to go out there, go capture this DNA. But they encounter while they're flying over or boating over, they see, oh, there's a shipwreck. Well, let's go help them out. Oh no, we've washed ashore on this unknown location. We meant to go over there, but they end up on a different place, and this is where they uncover the sinister secrets, and they eventually get themselves off this island. I would assume, but you think that sounds about right as far as where we're going with this?
I was talking to somebody about this the other day actually, and I think that we're gonna sort of have the initial couple of acts will just go according to plan. Maybe the first act, where like they'll do two out of the three animals perfectly fine in
Hmm.
different environments that are separate to this island. And then I think we'll come to the island in the second or third act. And that's where stuff goes wrong because they realize this family's stranded. Maybe this animal's harder for them to get to than they expected, and then that's when they begin to uncover that there's more to the island than they realize, and it presents them with a threat that's more dangerous than the animal they were hunting in the first place. That makes the most sense to me because I think Dominion Right wanted to do globetrotting. I think this film, you've had filming in Thailand, which could easily be the island, but equally it could be somewhere else. You've had some water filming in Malta, and there was quite an extensive amount of water filming. So part of me feels like the biggest animal in the water is going to be the Mosasaurus, and that's going to be the sequence that's being filmed in Malta. And then I think everything it's filming in the UK currently will again be that sort of like final act interior sets on the island and this kind of thing, of these environments that give a lot more away. That's sort of where I think we're going to go. I think they're going to lull us into a false sense of security that this operation is going well, and then it all will start to go wrong very quickly.
Yeah, I could definitely see a scenario, which actually does remind me quite a bit of Twisters. I don't know if you got a chance to catch that movie. Did you see that?
Dude, that was such a good film. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
I was actually listening to the soundtrack this morning.
Oh yeah, I like the orchestral soundtrack or the
the songs.
Oh gosh, I couldn't bring.
Ain't no love in Oklahoma.
I mean, that's yeah. I'm not a country artist lover by any means. It's my least favorite style of music. So,
especially when cowboy boots, Brad.
But I will say that I have been listening to the original Twister music a lot, the music from the movie and the Van Halen stuff as well, because that's where it's at.
I still need to see Twister.
Oh my God, you're goodbye. Nice knowing you. But let me say that very small. This is very small details for the movie, but there's a point in the movie where, like, they're about to go like catch a tornado, which they do a lot in that movie. But there's the chance that like, oh, this place over here needs our help, and I feel like that's kind of like the plot that we're getting here. It's like, we have the chance to go get that last piece of DNA, but this family needs our help, and it's like a last minute call, like we can't let them die, like kind of thing. So I could definitely see that being like kind of like what you just set up. It's
and
like
actually,
the last one is right there. We have it, but like, oh, I can't let this person die or something, you know.
You saying that as well, I feel like Mahershala. I did not say his name properly at all.
Absolutely not.
Tell me how you say it. Tell me how you say it. Mahershala. There we go. I feel like his character, like I feel like I've seen him play villains in a couple of things, so I wouldn't be surprised if you get this moment where like Scarlett's character Zora is going to go and help the family, and maybe he splits off to go and get the DNA instead. He doesn't like care, and that might be why something that we'll discuss in the next video.
I like that. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm sure we'll continue discussing plot and stuff like that as well. But thank you, Tom. Let's cut it off here quick. Where can people find you if they want to?
Yep. Hit me up at Tom_Jurassic on Twitter and Instagram, and please go and check out Tales from a Jurassic World on YouTube, because the complete second season has just released, and at the time of recording this, I think the open casting call for season 3 has just gone live.
Oof, we've gotten a lot of inquiries about that, so definitely go check it out.
Yeah.
If you potentially want to be a part of this, you know, it's a lot of hard work.
Part of the final season. Yeah.
The final season.
Yeah.
Big deal.
And there is going to be more afterwards to keep in line with Jurassic marketing.
Will there be a subtitle? Will it be... Did you already say the subtitle here today? We'll find out.
Maybe I did.